baby dog is called a puppy. A baby cat is called a kitten. A baby goat is called a kid. That's the kind of kid in this book that we're talking about. The Wolf and the Seven Little Kids. This is a fairy tale. The paintings for this book were done by Bernadette Watts, who was born in Northampton, England, grew up in a family that supported the arts, and she became a wonderful painter who did many, many books for young learners. This story was originally written down in the early 1800s by these two men, Jakob and Wilhelm Grimm. They were collecting the stories that people told amongst themselves in order to study language. The translation was done by this woman, Anthea Bell, who was an English woman who spoke French and German and Danish, and she translated the German story and made it an English language story. So if a German speaker says, "Das ist ein Buch," if you don't speak German, you need someone to help you know that that's the book. Or if a French speaker says, "Ça c'est un livre," you need a person who speaks French to help you know that that's the book. And Thea Bell did the translation. The original German language version was written down by the brothers Grimm, and the paintings were done by Bernadette Watts. Once upon a time, there was an old mother goat who had 7 little kids, and she loved them, just as all mothers love their children. One day she was going out to look for food, so she called all her 7 little kids and told them, "Dear children, I'm going into the wood, so mind you, watch out for the wolf. If he gets in here, he'll eat you up. The wicked creature often disguises himself, but you can recognize him easily by his hoarse voice and his black feet." "We promise to be careful, dear mother," said the 7 little kids. "Don't worry." So old Mother Goat bleated goodbye and went on her way. Before long, there was a knock at the door, and the 7 little kids heard someone say, "Open the door, dear children. Here's your mother back with something for each of you." But the 7 little kids wouldn't open the door. "You're not our mother," they called back. "Our mother has a soft and gentle voice, but yours is hoarse. You're the wolf." So the wolf went to the village store and bought a big piece of chalk. He ate it, and it made his voice soft and gentle. He came back and knocked on the door again. "Open the door, dear children. Here's your mother, back with something for each of you." But one of the wolf's black feet was showing at the window, and when the 7 little kids saw it, they said, "We won't open the door. Our mother's feet are all white, and yours aren't. You're the wolf." The wolf went to the baker and said, "I've hurt my paw. Please put some dough on it." And when the baker had covered his paw with dough, the wolf went off to the miller and said, "Sprinkle some white flour on my paw." The miller thought, "This wolf is planning to trick someone," and refused. But the wolf said, "If you don't do as I say, I'll eat you up." The miller was afraid and sprinkled white flour on the wolf's paw. Then the wicked wolf went back to the house for the 3rd time, knocked on the door, and said, "Open the door, children. Your dear mother's home from the wood with something for each of you." "Show us your feet first," said the 7 little kids. "Then we'll know whether you're our dear mother or not." So the wolf held up his white paw to the window, and when the 7 little kids saw it, they opened the door. But it was the wolf who came in. The 7 little kids were scared and tried to hide. One hid under the table, the second in the bed, the third under the stove, the fourth behind the curtain, the fifth in the dresser, the sixth under the wash basin, and the 7th inside the grandfather clock. But the wolf found them and gobbled up every single one of them, except the youngest, who was hiding inside the grandfather clock. The wolf didn't find him. When the wolf had eaten the 6 little kids, he strolled out of the house, lay down in the meadow under a tree, and went to sleep. A little later, old Mother Goat came home. Oh, what a sight met her eyes! The door of the house was wide open. The table, chairs, and benches had been knocked over. The wash basin was broken. The blankets and pillows were dragged off the bed. Oh, she looked for her children, but they were nowhere to be found. She called their names one by one, but there was no answer. At last, when she called to the youngest, a tiny voice replied, "Here! Here I am, dear mother, hiding in the grandfather clock." She helped him out, and he told her the wolf had come and eaten all the others. Oh, how old Mother Goat wept for her 6 little kids. Then, in her sorrow, old Mother Goat went out of the house with the youngest little kid running beside her. When she came to the meadow, she found the wolf sound asleep under a tree, and she saw something moving inside his full stomach. "My goodness," she thought, "can my poor children still be alive in there?" Old Mother Goat ran home for scissors, a needle, and thread. Then she began cutting open the wicked wolf's stomach. No sooner had she made the first cut than one of the little kids put its head out, and as she went on cutting, all 6 jumped out one by one. They were all alive and had come to no harm, because in his greed the wicked wolf had swallowed them whole. Oh, how happy they were! They hugged their dear mother and hopped about merrily. But old Mother Goat said, "Go and find some big rocks, and we'll fill the wicked wolf's stomach with them while he lies there asleep." So the 7 little kids hurried off to collect rocks and put so many as they could in the wolf's stomach, and then old Mother Goat quickly sewed it up again. When the wolf finally woke up, he was thirsty, so he decided to go to the well for a drink. But as he began to move about, the rocks in his stomach rattled and clattered. "Oh, what's that thumping and bumping inside me?" cried the wolf. "I ate 6 little kids, but it feels like rocks." And when the wolf came to the well and leaned over to drink, the heavy rocks dragged him in, and he was drowned. When the 7 little kids saw the wolf disappear, they ran up shouting, "The wolf is dead! The wolf is dead!" And old Mother Goat and her 7 little kids danced around the well for joy. And the kids and their mother and all their friendly neighbors lived happily ever after. The end. This page has some reviews, what grown-ups thought about this book when it was published, and it has a list of other books you can find by the same publisher, including 2 by the Brothers Grimm, The Brementown Musicians, and The Elves and the Shoemaker. If you like this story, you might like those. A story written down in German 200 years ago by Jakob and Wilhelm Grimm, translated by Anthea Bell, and with illustrations beautifully painted by Bernadette Watts. This book has been The Wolf, methods.